I didn't. All right, so back this part up.
Lay it on me. Did I throw a lot of information out there? I think I did. Yeah, I got exercise equipment to pick up.
We're losing weight, we're losing pounds, and we're gaining episodes.
Tell us about your fitness.
Hello, and welcome to a riveting episode of Finding My Fit.
Oh, I hadn't used
at
that
40.
word.
Yeah, you like that? Riveting.
That was good.
That was
Yeah.
a clutch
Thank
word right
you.
there.
Yeah.
I'm already riveted just
Aren't
by
you?
the
Yeah.
diction.
That's the highlight of the episode. Okay, bye.
Syntax,
I'm
diction.
Chrissy. I'm here with my good friend Victor and some dude named Mike.
That's me. I'm the dude named Mike.
We can do a
also
better intro for
slightly
Mike. We can do.
offended, and that's fine.
So I got you, Mike. Hold on. He's handsome. He's hungry. His head shines like the bottom of a polished spoon.
She's pretty much nailed everything.
Michael Bersky.
She nailed it all. She really did.
Yeah. There you go.
Although for future episodes, I prefer ruggedly handsome.
That's true. God damn it.
It's all right. It's all
You're
right.
right, Michael. It was in the moment.
It was in the
It was
moment. It was
pressured.
spontaneous.
I
It was
felt pressured.
delightful. That's why I'm not really coming down hard on you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the forgiveness.
Yo, the bottom of a polished spoon. I'm dying. All right,
That was a hell of a
good.
reach because nobody polishes spoons anymore.
It
so that
is-
was
yeah,
impressive.
right?
yeah,
That's
it's
very
been
impressive.
polished in someone's like China cabinet for
years.
years.
Back when you actually had
I don't-
silverware.
So considered polished if it's been there for years and not been touched? Is that-
Freshly polished 60 years ago.
Yeah. yeah.
Which now thinking about it, we still call silverware, and it's
a
not
big
even
scam.
silver anymore. It's
a
just
scam.
wear.
Yeah,
It's
it's just wear.
It's wares.
Can you hand me one of your wares, please?
There's lots of things that we do stuff like that. But anyway. Yeah,
Hi, guys.
Hello.
What's going
yeah,
on?
How's everyone?
Wonderful. Thank you for asking.
Yeah?
We
Everyone's
are
good?
moving forward. Yes, I am coming to the end of my seasons, which is
Oh, my
exciting.
goodness.
Oh.
Slowing down a little bit. I can breathe.
Yeah, it's like
now.
finally not 1,000 degrees outside. Have you noticed?
I have. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's a
Wait,
little.
you like
it's
it 1,000 degrees?
Oh my God, yeah.
Me too. Also, I like this time of year, but I know the impending cold is coming, and I hate that.
Yeah.
So it's like
We experienced that a little bit. Like your house feels too cold when you wake up on mornings like this.
I know. Also, I wanted to get in the shower, and I had to make it hotter than I've had to be
Right.
doing recently. Which
I don't
is
like to have to think about putting on more clothes. I like less clothes.
less clothes.
I
You like the cold, don't you?
not even the cold, like this weather, like cold. No,
Yeah,
who likes cold? Like
I know
no.
people, man.
No,
People like
those
that.
people are psycho.
Those people
Yeah.
are
So,
psycho.
I harness the power of extreme weather, but I don't always like it.
but I like the a little cooler in the air. Maybe it's because that was being a soccer player. That was like great.
This
soccer
is my
time.
favorite
Like, this is
ride
soccer
around in the
season.
car with
This
the
is-
windows
Yeah,
down.
a hoodie weather. Like
Yeah.
I
I
love
never
it.
ride around with my windows down.
No, Michael?
I just don't do it.
Do you have a sunroof? That's what I do.
I don't. Don't. I have a
Probably burn
truck.
your little noggin if you didn't have sunroof,
Probably
Just
true.
coming right
Yeah.
on down.
You know, I don't like to tan my head unevenly.
Unevenly.
so,
You
well,
look ridiculous, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you tan your head unevenly?
Hats, sunglasses, sunroofs, bandanas. Need I continue?
Just I feel okay.
Sometimes when he wears little bunny ears, that also he gets that line right across
Absolutely.
the top.
I
line,
can't
yeah.
stand that. And
The
sometimes,
headbands.
depending on where the
headband.
sun's
He's
at,
keeping
that,
the
that
hair
bunny
up.
ear line will go down my neck. I can't have that.
Ridiculous. Okay, so on our riveting episode today, we're going to discuss, we've talked about this a little bit. We're talking about the timing of meals, mainly like an early bird versus a night owl.
Also known as meal timing.
Meal timing,
Right.
yes.
The timing of meals, mealtime.
Meal timing.
Right.
We talked about this a little bit, and like I think at the end of it, we really come down to like it doesn't really make a huge difference as far as like losing weight or gaining muscle or like can you eat all your protein in the beginning of the day or the end of the day and all of that shit, which is generally true. But this kind of dives a little bit more into things that I kind of resonate with as a late night eater, because it's less about are you leaving gains on the table or something like that, and more about your hunger. And
Right.
and if you feel hungry and things like that. So
And I would feel like schedule, right? Because not
Yeah.
everybody's like we all tend to be later night people in
I'm
general.
a late night person, and I've felt like, and I feel like Victor probably resonates with this a little bit too. I feel hungry at night.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily feel hungry during the day. And I don't know if I don't feel hungry during the day because I've always been this way, or if maybe I would feel less hungry at night if I just forced myself to eat earlier in the day. After doing this research, it's like making me want to try different eating schedules.
Oh, why?
And I think it's
Ooh.
worth it to play around with things just to kind of see what you resonate with more. But I also find that come evening time, you're usually in one place longer than you are throughout the day.
I don't know.
So if you're productive, for me personally, and what I found with other people is if you're productive or moving about your day, you think about food less.
Yeah, it's
but
so
when
true.
you're home at
Sitting
night,
on the couch,
sitting on the
watching
couch, watching
TV.
TV, which is again that's fine.
Yeah.
I find I'm more snackish at that
I'm
point.
so snackish.
I feel like I have the opposite effect because, like, during the day, I don't want to do nothing. All I want to do is sit on the couch. Like, I do have to do things because, like,
Right.
the rest of the world functions during the day.
yeah.
But, like,
dumb.
come evening, nighttime, I'm like, okay, let's go. Like, I went on a trip with my buddy, a songwriting trip. I think I've talked about it before. But he is he's a normal human being and
Right.
functions during the day. And so during the day, he'd be like, hey, let's write. And I would like do stuff. We would write. And then like 10 o'clock would hit, 10
When you
p.m.
come
would hit.
alive.
And I'd be like, all right, let's go. Let's like, I think I have this idea. And he's like, are you serious?
He's like, bro, I was about to
Leave me
crash.
I was like, wait, what? And it happened every night. I didn't even realize it until like the third day. He was like, bro, why do you keep doing? I was like, I don't know, man. That's just when like,
I was just talking to Aaron about this.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're I mean, it depends. During the day, like we have to do things. Obviously, like you said, like that's when the world functions. And so we obviously do things during the day. We have to do, our shopping for the bar during the day. That's the time the fucking stores are open. But at night, man, we get like really into whatever projects we're doing and we make a lot of progress at the stupidest hours of the evening, So it's like, really frustrating.
yeah.
I mean, I think the principle still applies for you, Victor, on that note. Like, you just sort of come alive and start being productive.
Yeah, he's a hell of a
you're
night
more
owl.
likely to think less about food when you're being productive. And so I think
That's true, yeah.
productivity drives success.
Do you feel hungry at night, though, Victor?
But that's what I was going to say is so like I get more, but I'm still like want to eat
Yeah.
then. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm just hungry all the time.
Bro, can relate.
Yeah. But like different levels of hungry. Like I could always eat something. That's how I feel like
Right.
at every moment of the day.
Every
I'm
moment of the
never
day is me forcing myself not to
Not
eat.
to
So
eat
I
something,
feel you.
yeah.
I'm not. Well, yes and no. Like, so I've been trying to stay ahead of that feeling of like really hungry,
Yeah.
where I'm like, I'm kind of hungry. Let me eat appropriately and smart right now, and
Right.
really eat something good, like to fill myself. Because then I don't think about it, and then I'm not hungry for like a couple hours, and I
Yeah.
don't like. But like, I've noticed if I do not start off with a really big
Breakfast?
I don't want to call it breakfast
Me
even
neither, 'cause you
because
don't-
it's
your
not
first
necessarily-
meal
your-
of the
yeah,
day.
but you're
Yes.
breaking your
Yeah,
fast.
yeah.
So that is your breakfast, and that's
Yeah.
okay. It doesn't have to have
Yeah,
like a
it
different.
can be whenever you want it
state.
to
But
be.
I
and it can be
was saying
whatever
for the
food
state
it
of
is.
like talking to explaining to people, it's not like 8 a.m. I have to
Yeah.
have breakfast. Like
Yeah.
I'm awake usually by
Yeah.
8 a.m. because with the kids and stuff. But I try not to eat right then, even though I could. I'm not super hungry, but I'll wait. And then my first meal needs to be something that's high protein
Substantial.
and substantial.
Yeah.
I've tried to just be like, well, I'm going to save my calories for the rest of the day because I know I have this going on. And I don't eat a big meal, or I'll eat like just a protein bar. And then by the end of the time, by the next meal, I'm just like super hungry.
See, that's a good point. So that's going to fit into what we're talking about for
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
because it is about a little bit about eating earlier in the day. So Aaron wakes up hungry, which is weird to me. I've like never woken up hungry, but you know what? He's not freaking hungry at night.
Right.
He's not like wanting to eat all of the things at night. I think he does snack a little.
broken.
I know. He's like a little robot. I think he snacks some because I'm snacking constantly,
Right.
Yeah.
especially at night, And that's like hard when you live with
It's
someone.
hard
and
to
they're
pass
like,
on them when the snack shows up.
Dude, yeah,
Even
it's-
if you're not particularly driven towards it.
No.
So
you
you're
can
more
really
of a
put
snacker
anything
than
in
like
front
a
of me.
meal. Like I want to eat a meal. Like when I'm like I don't.
Yeah,
I just want to be
don't.
filled. So yeah, I don't. I have less interest in little snacks throughout because when I sit down to have something, it has to be somewhat substantial. Otherwise, what the hell did I just do?
That's
In
how I
which
feel.
case, I'll start seeking out more little snacks that have then added up to a big ass meal.
Yeah.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, I generally eat like a very reasonably sized meal at night, and then I just want to eat a bunch of snacks after that.
But like, so what do you feel like you're chasing? Are you like chasing a certain flavor at night? Like, so you just want a snack because you just like to like it's the mouthfeel.
Yeah, I think I really just like to put. That's why I've told you before that I have like little snack packs of things. So I have like animal crackers in like a tiny little bag.
like
Does
that.
chewing
Yeah.
gum do it for you?
Ugh, no.
I mean, you don't got to be all rude about it. Yeah.
But like, yeah, I have like animal crackers, or I'll eat like Ritz Bits. I have like little
Yeah.
bags of Ritz, like little bags of things that are pre-portioned, so I cannot eat tons of them, and I don't let myself have more than one a day, right? So it's like
Right.
if I've had animal crackers that day, that's it. It's the only animal
All
cracker
right.
bag you're having that
And I
day. Unless
think-
it's that time of the month, and there's no rules.
And a lot
There's no rules.
and a lot of people will kind of start to look at this behavior I've found when it comes to accounting for calories or portioning things out or meal prepping as obsessive behavior. And to a certain extent, sure, you could probably categorize it under somewhat obsessive, but it's obsessive leaning towards good habits and overall health,
Yeah.
as opposed to the people who are generally passing that judgment, who tend to be overweight or not on routine and tend to just be more judgmental in general. So I would rather have the slightly obsessive behavior to kind of figure out what's going to make me more balanced and healthier long term, as opposed to dig into, no, I have to just do it by intuiting and I don't need a schedule and we're creatures of habit and routine. And when you hop off of those routine or you just don't have rules, you're going to find way more often you are slipping into the side of doing things that are just not going to make you happy long term.
I feel like it's
Yeah.
really easy to obsess over something that you have to do every single day. Like eating, like it's required
Like
for survival.
eating.
Right.
So, like, how do you not obsess over like food needs to come into my body, and I like flavors. That
I mean,
taste
that's a good
And
point.
I
Like,
like flavors.
instinctively, like you look at any animal out there, they are just driven by food and procreation. And I don't think we're much different in terms that
Nope,
we can
nope,
just
not
we can
much
just
different.
think about those things a little bit more deeply.
Yeah.
But you're right. So
I don't think I can think about those things any more than I currently do. I'm just saying. Just saying.
All right, so let me ask you guys a question. What were the last 2 times that you ate, Michael? The last 2 meals that you ate, what time
I
were
have
they?
never eaten Michael.
First time for everything.
I ended up having an early dinner last night, probably around 6:30 or 7. But then after that, I ended up giving into the snacking thing, in which case I ate a whole other meal anyways.
Yep.
So the last 2 things I ate were last night. And
You
I ended
didn't
up,
have breakfast today.
No, I ate breakfast probably around. I eat breakfast anywhere between 10 and noon. And I
Did
pretty
you
much
not
have the same
understand the
thing. I got
question?
my 4 eggs on a bagel with provolone and balsamic glaze, which is just
So you have
fantastic.
not eaten breakfast today?
Today, no.
No. Okay, heard. So your last 2 meals were snackies last night. That sounds like me.
Big snackies.
And
Yeah, it was a
big
it was a
snackies.
pound and a half of the vanilla carb master
Jesus.
with like 2.5 servings of cinnamon toast crunch, and then I
Mm.
sprinkled in the little tiny chocolate chips
Mm-hmm.
into that mix. Right.
So it wasn't really a snack. That was a whole ass meal.
That's what I'm saying. It
Yeah,
ended
yeah,
up
yeah.
being my snack, quote unquote snack, was a whole ass other meal.
See, I do that in pieces. I ate lots of little snacks that add up to a giant meal. Yeah. I should probably just eat that, though, because that was at least protein friendly.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I tossed that on top of like a whole smorgasbord of the chicken nuggets that are like Chick-fil-A knockoffs from Sam's Club.
Yeah.
And dip those in ranch. So I had 2 full ass meals at that point.
Sounds
But on the same note, I'll let myself go a little bit overboard. I tend to do that on workout days because my workout days are big ass workout days, and I'm only working out lifting 3 days a week as of right now. And so my off days, I tend to go lower calories. So I'm eating anywhere between 1,600 to 1,800 calories, say, on today.
Right.
Where I will get a little conditioning. I make sure my steps are up. So I don't feel too bad about yesterday, even though I should have been a little more on track mentally to get myself back where the leanest I want to be.
Yeah.
But you're also in a cut currently.
Kind of. I'm doing a mostly cut, semi-muscle build for like the days that I'm overeating kind of thing. So it's a weird thing. And I go real high protein pretty much on most days. So while it's more difficult to, like we've talked about, to do a body recomp, you know, the longer you've been training and especially if I've got 4 out of 7 days are cutting, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to actually put on muscle consistently. I'm just not stressing too much about that. As long as my weight is consistently going down a little bit one week to the next, I'm pretty content. And if I manage to put on a little bit of muscle during that time, cool. Absolutely
That would be cool. All right, Victor, what about you? When's the last 2 meals you had?
I did not eat anything yet today.
Heard.
Specifically because of what I just said, I have been doing like a bar or something snack wise, or and then trying to like use that to hold me off so I can save the rest for later, quote unquote. And I don't find myself very successful with that consistently. Occasionally, like that works.
That works out, yeah.
Yeah, but not consistently. So I waited. So after we recorded the pod, I plan on making myself a big meal that will hold me over for way longer. And then I'm like I feel like when I do that, I'm like set up for the whole day. Like I'm not as hungry all day long then.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're going to get into that, and you're going to find how right you are.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
There's something to that.
There is a little something to that, and I don't want anybody to be like it's like a make or break huge thing.
Yeah,
it's a very small piece of a potential puzzle here, but
Right,
okay.
you actually even preloaded that because
Yeah.
overall the whole like the initial statement is true. When it comes to actual fat loss and muscle gain, your meal timing is not going to make the biggest difference.
Yeah.
It really, I mean, there are some
absolutely.
factors in there that will give you that extra few percent if you do things a specific way. However, it's going to come down to that kind of personal preference of what really drives you and helps you.
Yeah, for me, I feel like that's a big deal though. Like because I've been playing with it for over a year now, almost 2 years now. I've been playing with it and trying to figure it out. So, but to answer your question,
yeah, I was going to say, what's the answer to my question?
no, I was gonna say, but to answer your question, the last two things that I ate yesterday, I'm so bad at remembering what
Victor,
I ate.
what were the last 2 things you ate? Go.
Yeah, right.
Don't think, just speak.
Last night I had a Fit Crunch bar. I just tried the strawberry strudel.
It's good, right?
Yeah, it was pretty good. The
Yeah.
strawberry
I'm jealous. I do wanna
strudel
get those.
Fit Crunch bar. I had one last night. And prior to that, I I ate the rest of my children's Wendy's. It was a soccer
Nice.
night, and I tried to make snacks for them, and dinner. It's so hard. We have soccer,
Yeah.
and literally soccer. It goes right from school. We can, if I run home, we get home, we change, we go, and we go right over. There's like no time at all. So I took
And they're both playing?
No.
Okay.
Yes, they're both playing soccer.
Okay.
But Casey's practice is on Monday. Aurora's is on Tuesday and Thursday, and then they both have games on Saturday.
Oh my God! Can't you just put them on a co-ed team?
We could, but
The
they're
age difference.
way different in ages. So we're there at the field 4 days a week, and for the practice days, it's right after school. So they don't get out. We don't get home from school till about 4:15, and practice at 5:30. So we have to leave by 5. So we have 45 minutes to like do everything if we come home.
God,
so
that's
what I've
chaotic.
started.
And like you have to get them to do it in
Yes.
a small amount
Right.
of time.
Yes, and they're 4 and 7.
Yeah, they're 4 and 7.
So-
They're
You ever
not
watch-
cooperating with your
You ever
schedule.
watch young kids run around a soccer field? I know because I was one of them. It's just a big group that runs around in a mob
Yeah.
all over the field. There's no positions.
For the 4-year-old.
That's
for
what I'm
the
saying. Yeah,
7-year-old,
I'm
they're
sure
starting.
she's
That's
doing
where
much
that's
better
where
with that.
she's getting to all that stuff. But anyway, so I tried taking food with us, and I took all of her stuff to change so that we had time. And it actually worked out great, except for the fact that I tried to be good about the food that they like, because I was like, what can they eat in the car in their hands? And I was at
and
Sam's.
not make a mess.
I found street tacos. La Banderita makes these little street tacos. Are 20 calories a tortilla, and it was 2 grams of protein for 20 calories of a tortilla, and they're little tortillas.
Okay.
I thought you said $20 per ticket for some reason. Did I
20
just hear
calories.
that? All right.
20 calories.
Did I just hear that? They must be really good.
So delicious. They're 20 calories per little tortilla. So I got those, and I got a turkey breast, oven roasted turkey breast, sliced that up real thin, threw that in there.
Oh, that's cute.
And the error of my ways came
no.
from I was on the phone with my buddy while I was making all this food, and I just grabbed the cheese that we had, and I didn't look at it or check
Oh,
it.
no.
And it was like, I don't think the cheese was good anymore. It was slices of provolone, and I just threw a slice of provolone, and they were like, I don't like these. And then I took one, and I was like, here, I'll eat your cheese, and I ate them up.
Oh, no.
Like, I don't like these either.
Yeah. So, but they liked the idea
But
of
hey,
the
that's a
small
cute
tortillas.
idea.
Yeah.
I like
and they
that.
were little
Good idea.
roll-ups
It's
that
a
they were
Victor
able
culinary
to...
concoction, everyone.
There you go. So, but
And
that's...
at least they had the chicken breast at Wendy's for you to lean on.
wait.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait.
So anyway,
My heart
my
broke
story
twice.
was they didn't want to eat those, and so that's why after soccer, then they were like, "We're still hungry." So I was like,
Can't
"There's a
imagine
Wendy's
why. I
out
just starved you on accident.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like, abusive father. We didn't get fed. We'd like
we
little
just,
Wendy's.
we just put an hour of activity out and I didn't feed you?
So we
Okay.
went to Wendy's. They each got a burger. They each ate about half of it. So I ate an entire burger.
Can you
because I ate
imagine
half
getting a
of each of
burger and
them.
eating half of it?
No, I
What is
cannot.
that
I don't
like?
give a shit how big that burger
Me
is.
neither.
I'm not going to
I
eat half of the
say
burger.
that is the one thing that I've really tried hard about teaching my kids is I was always you have to finish all
Yeah.
your food.
plate, yeah.
I make them eat. I do that. Not make them finish, but I do make them eat more when I'm like, you did not eat.
Yeah, you didn't
enough.
eat anything.
You have
Right.
to eat something. So here, and then I try to make them be at least protein conscious.
Good.
So
Good.
they understand the protein. But I'll be like, I don't care if you eat the roll, but you have to eat more of the meat. You have to take
Meat,
3 more bites
yeah.
of the meat.
I think that's
this and
great.
that.
Yeah.
And so we do that. But like yesterday, they ate and they were like, we're full. I was like, That's cool.
Cool.
You ate some of that turkey earlier. You ate half this burger now.
Yeah.
That's
On the
cool.
same
You're
note
good
too,
to go.
it's a burger.
It's a very
So,
calorie
like,
dense burger. They got enough calories.
It's not
in
just
it.
that. Like burgers
Yeah,
are
totally.
delicious.
Yeah,
so if
so
your
good.
child is telling you that they're full, they're probably fucking full.
But
if
they're
not.
delicious to you. This is another thing. They're delicious to you and me and Chrissy.
And me
Your
also.
kids
yeah.
don't think burgers are delicious?
My daughter is not a huge fan of
Oh
burgers.
my god.
She's the weirdest child when it
So
comes
She
to
is
weird.
kind of weird.
Burgers
yeah.
and chocolate?
Yeah,
I
she's
What's
out.
next?
She's out on that.
She is adorable.
She
all
is
right, so she's
absolutely
got that
She
going for her.
makes
But
up
she's very
for it
weird
in
food
adorableness.
wise.
But
right.
But she also is obsessed with pastas. She loves
Same
pasta.
girl.
Oh, okay.
Same.
Casey-
She just came back in
Hold on.
my eyeballs because I'm Italian. So
Yeah.
I'm
About the
She
Rooney
knew the
world.
way to your heart,
Casey,
Michael.
he's like out on pasta.
What?
He does not
Does he like
enjoy pasta.
breads?
He's not a big bread guy. He's not a big
What?
carb guy. He really enjoys meat though, and he'll eat the
Wow.
crap out of some turkey or something. Like he
Okay, all
really
right.
enjoys that. He
little
likes
meat man.
He likes Jello. She doesn't like Jello.
I kind of hate Jello. I feel that.
Yeah, so it's
It's what
so-
is Jello?
I found like the sugar-free Jello is one of those things that I've leaned on before, just for in between meals. It's like 15 calories per cup.
It's
Yo,
just
make
congealed.
it
I don't know,
with
it's weird.
You make it with the clear whey protein.
I didn't even think about
We've
that.
done that for the kids.
Oh my god.
Well,
Casey
that
will
makes
do
it
it,
more
yep.
interesting.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jello with the clear whey protein.
Oh my god, Victor.
Yeah, good stuff.
Very
You just
smart.
blew my damn mind.
That's not mine. Look at
Yeah.
it. It's blown.
And especially
Victor's
for you,
culinary concoctions.
especially for you with the mouthfeel, like
Yeah.
for me, Jello, you like feel like you're eating, and if you use
Yeah.
the
Correct,
really little
yeah.
cow with the protein, like you feel like you're eating, and you're a little full after it because.
Ooh,
of
what if we
the
mix
protein.
little meat chunks in with the Jello
Ew,
so you can chew? I'm
Michael.
kidding.
I'm out. I'm out on that.
Maybe little
little
shrimp.
chunks
Huh?
of fruit would be nice. Maybe a little piece of fruit.
all right.
All right,
Fine,
Chrissy,
food
sorry, I
could
keep
be
taking,
fine.
No, you're fine.
down
You're
the road.
totally
Actually, we
fine.
literally
So-
just went down the list of your children's foods.
We
Yeah.
did.
So anyway,
but anyway,
the
those are the
world.
last two things that I ate. The last two things that I
All right.
ate was was the rest of their Wendy's and then a Fit Crunch bar. Yeah.
Okay, so my next follow up question is: does anyone here eat at consistent times generally? Like, I
Yeah,
know that I
I do.
suck at that, and I think Victor sucks at that, but I think Mike is actually pretty
I
good
do.
at that.
Yeah.
Do you schedule it on purpose? Like, do you like have a timer that's like, oh, gotta eat now?
No,
like, are you that
I
guy?
found that I have somewhat of a morning routine that sort of ends somewhere between 11 and 12. And
Yeah,
then the
so there's,
first thing
like,
I
some
do
wiggle
after
room.
working out and moving and whatever is I go eat. And then this is another big thing that I do that sort of caps off my eating for at least a few hours at that point is I will go through my entire, I'm going to say oral routine, but
What's that sound, Christy?
I'll floss, I'll brush, I'll rinse. So like that kind of puts a cap on eating.
That's smart,
I don't
yeah.
want to eat a fucking thing after I've just done all of that mouth care at that
Mouth
point.
care. Mouth care is what we're going to call that.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
a good call. I don't
Yeah.
want to. I don't want to drink any colored beverages at that point.
Yeah.
I don't want
You
the taste of
feel
food.
Like you are more unscheduled because it's an overcompensation knowing you have ADHD.
No, I
So
think
you're
I don't
trying
think it's an
really hard to-
overcompensation. I think it's just a compensation. I know.
I mean,
that, I know
maybe
that
over is not
Yeah.
the. I'm saying over because for me, being on a schedule like that sounds awful. But I understand why people do that, and I,
think
probably
it would
should
be better
doing it
for
too.
us if we
100%.
were on one.
I
Yeah.
think the
but
routine.
it sounds awful, which is why I don't do it.
Right,
Yeah, I
yes.
think the routine aids me in that, but I also know that I need to, like, I get up and I'll have some coffee, and the first thing I do is I go walk the dogs because they need to get out.
Yep.
So I'll walk the dogs, and that's just under 2 miles already from my start. Now my
Bro, your
body's
dog's so
warm.
little. The walk from the back of your house to the front door is probably far enough
I
for
walk
that
Teddy
dog.
and I walk Becky.
I'm
and
just
she's
saying-
a medium-sized dog.
all
All
right.
right.
She's a
that's true.
medium-sized dog.
Does she end up riding?
And
Does
she
Teddy
don't
end
need
up
no
riding
man.
Becky by the end
Actually,
because
no,
his little legs
Teddy's
are tired?
a champ.
Yeah,
He will
Teddy
go
will walk
2,
really,
3
really
plus
far,
miles.
but only with his dad.
Correct.
If I try to walk Teddy, he will go as far as the baseball fields, which
He
is
wants
like
to turn back,
not
yeah.
very far at all, and then he will not keep going, and I have to carry him. It's really annoying.
Yeah, he's my little cub.
And I'm like,
It is what it is.
Oh.
So I'll walk them. Now I'm warm. So I'll come back in and then I'll lift the 3 days a week that I'm doing that. If I'm not lifting, then I'll hop on the treadmill and either do, an incline walk or shoulders and abs or something like that. But my movement happens the first part of the day. Once my movement's done, now I need to eat. So it just sort of works out that,
Yeah, he's
that
pretty
that's
on
my
a
morning
schedule.
routine.
And I think that as annoying as a schedule is, Victor, because I fucking hear you, I think it really does help. Like, I feel like when I was a kid, I never really had breakfast. We just weren't really a big breakfast family. But, you ate lunch at the same fucking time every single day at school because you were forced to. When you got home, you probably ate again because it was like the right time. And it was like, then you had dinner. Generally, it was served to me. Someone was making dinner. And it was like, I was way more consistent. I wasn't snacking all the damn time, because you were on a schedule.
Responsible for myself is
it's
so
so
awful.
annoying. It's so annoying. But I asked that because I think having a schedule kind of plays a big
It does,
part
and that's
in
actually
this.
going to play into the topic next week as well. Is those kind of quote unquote forced routines.
Yep.
So it's way easier to stay on track if you are in a quote unquote forced routine.
Okay. Don't go too much into
I'm
it.
not.
You got to keep it for next week, man.
Easy
So
does
the timing,
Just a teaser.
The timing
just
at that
a
point
tip.
makes it
Just a tip,
it comes
baby.
easy.
Just
But
a-
I think we can all benefit from that for sure. I mean, it's definitely helped me. If I don't have something that I know is on a sort of a checklist, then I'm just firing on all cylinders. But each one of those cylinders is in a different vehicle.
Yeah, right. And then I don't do anything.
Correct.
Yeah, it's not good. I've been doing that a lot lately. I hurt myself. Like there's a kitten in my gym. Like everything is not working in the way that I would like it to go, and I'm just struggling. But we'll talk about that next week. Okay, so the idea for this topic came from the guys from Stronger by Science, which if you do not follow them, you should. They're the shit. They do a really good job of giving you really short, concise, I guess, overviews of.
Who are the guys on
They're
that?
the Stronger by Science. They're the guys that also do MASS, which is the making applications of
that's
science
Eric Helms
simple.
and
Yes.
the other guy. Yeah, I follow them too.
So I really want to get a subscription to MASS. It's kind of expensive, so I'm waiting for it to go on sale because it is
Okay.
it's kind of expensive.
I have Alan Aragon's review, which is I think $9 or $10 a month.
Oh, see, that's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they do they do a good job of like sending you, if you had MASS, like that's even better because they like really do a bunch of they deep dive into
The actual
peer-reviewed
literature and-
actual
yes.
studies that are like kind of really boring and really scientific, and then they regurgitate that into like a more digestible.
Those are pretty much the only guys and girls that I follow, the people
Right.
that do that. So you're getting exposed to the latest science. And I think that where that tends to get confusing is a couple of people I follow will just put out something that seems contrary to what they posted the last week. And that's what led me to eventually we talked about where it doesn't matter for some things, where it might be that extra 1 or 2%, and science has shown that, but that doesn't mean it applies to the average individual, even the intermediate to advanced on a particular front. All that stuff's going to apply to that extra few percent that puts you at your peak ability at that point, where you need to get the foundation prior to ever seeking out the extra few percent.
Yeah, so like this kind of falls on that same line.
Yeah.
Where, so the name of their overview was "Does Late Night Eating Disrupt Metabolism?" And they studied 2 different peer-reviewed studies. One is the late isocaloric eating increases hunger, decreases energy expenditure, and modifies metabolic pathways in adults with overweight and obesity. They say with overweight, which is weird, but I guess that's like the way you say that.
Overweight and obesity are 2 different things, though, too. So
I know, I just don't like the way the word
I get
seems
that.
weird. So that is one of the studies.
Now,
you see how
explain
that sounds real boring?
Yeah, it does. Explain isocaloric.
You explain isocaloric.
I'll let you carry on with what you're doing.
The other one is called timing of daily calorie loading affects. Timing of daily calorie loading affects appetite and hunger responses without changes in the energy metabolism in healthy subjects with obesity. Those are the 2 names. Oh, exactly.
I have no idea what you just said.
They're like the 2 names of these super in-depth studies, and I would never probably read them, but these guys dive into those studies and then take the important parts out and give them to you in a more
So did you get
understandable
an
way.
abstract for either of those?
I don't have it printed. I just skimmed them.
Well, and so what did you come up with? Like, what was the overall?
So I'm going to get into it. That's what the
my
whole
bad, my
episode's about. That's why we're here, Michael.
Wait, start over. I can do this better.
I can do this better.
I can be better.
Okay, so for the first study, they looked at eating earlier in the day. So they had some test subjects that were start eating at 8 a.m., noon, and 4 p.m. And then they had the other half of them were eating later. I don't know if I wrote down the times, but they were not eating
I would
so
assume
early.
probably 12, 4, and 8.
Yeah, something like that. I'll have to pull it back up. But so they had them do that. They're eating.
So they split them up into 2 groups.
Into 2
One of them
groups.
that was early based eating and later based eating in the day, and what was their goal out of that?
So they're trying to see a few things. So they did want to see like were people losing weight more and stuff like that. Really, they checked a lot
We're
of
checking
things.
offense on metabolic rate.
But really, what they really did was to see how it affects the way people really felt. So they noticed that people's wake time energy was down by 5% when they had late scheduled eating. So it's
How
not.
do you judge somebody's
exactly.
wake time energy?
It's
Do they
probably going to
have-
be perceived fatigue and such.
Yeah,
maybe.
so that and it's feel like
And
at the end of
5%.
the day, that's probably like
5% is pretty much
60 to
negligible.
70 total calories, maybe less burned per day because you have like less energy.
Right.
But it's like nothing that's super interesting, but still a little bit interesting.
Oh, yeah.
They also noticed that late eating decreased the body temperature slightly, so they possibly could have less metabolic burn. That's kind of how they like determine metabolic burn is based off of body heat.
Because your
Which I think
core
is kind
temperature
of-
drops when you get into deep sleep too. So
I know,
you would
and
want that in order to sleep better, I would think.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just when they're sleeping or really throughout the day, but I think that's kind of interesting because
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like I don't know how much that applies to like being a cold person, but like as a very cold person, I'm like, am I missing out on something here? Like, could I have more calorie burn if I was just like a hotter person in general? Should I be keeping the house hot? Should I be taking more hot baths, Michael? I don't know.
See, I would feel like that would, I feel like that would be almost opposite because that means your body's working harder to keep you warmer. So if you have a lower core temp,
Yeah.
shouldn't your body be working harder to raise that
To
temperature?
raise it up? I don't
Not
know.
if it accepts
I
that
guess not if
temperature
it's
as
just like
normal.
okay with being
Yeah.
cold. Yeah, it's not like my body's ever trying to heat me up. Doing a terrible job. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Did they have any exercise routines during the day at all mixed in with that? Was it pure diet?
I think it was pure diet. I don't remember reading anything about exercise.
So that I don't like. I mean, I guess they're trying to really single out this one zone. But if you take something like that and include frequent movement throughout the day, I wonder how that would affect the overall temp.
I wondered a lot of things actually. I was reading this because I was like, man, I wonder if that would make a difference.
And this is the pitfall with the studies. And
Exactly,
it's so hard to have a perfect study when people are so complex as it is. In order to have like a really, really good outcome study for one way or the other is you need to have people in a lab. You need to be responsible for all the food they're taking.
Yeah.
You need to schedule the appropriate movement so you know exactly how much movement they're getting for a given day.
and their food has to be like based on like their
Basal metabolic rate?
Thank you,
You're
Michael.
right. BMR.
Basal metabolic rate. Yeah, right. Like you can't just feed them all the same amount of calories. Like you're gonna.
Right. So you'd have to find out what people's maintenance is, and probably just feed them maintenance if you're not looking to do any kind of a fat loss or muscle gain study. There's so many factors that can really just sort of fuck up a study when it comes to giving pure
Yeah, I
results.
feel like there's just like no way to make a perfect study.
well,
you know?
there
I mean,
is, but the
And I think that's why they use
I don't
animals a
think
lot.
there is. I mean, we're not perfect human beings because even your body, if we did all those things that we just said, you are going to react a little bit different than
Yeah.
I'm going to react, then that person's going to react. You can get an overall idea, but I
you
don't
can
think
get
it's ever
pretty close. I guess
Yeah.
perfection is
I
the
think
wrong
that's
thing.
why
Even in a
like
full lab
lab
scenario.
rats are something they're all generally the same size. You know, like you really, really can control their environment. You can control what they eat.
They're
like
mostly wired the same.
I feel like it makes it. You know, granted we're not rats. So
It
that's
also,
the problem
just
at the end of the
really
day.
doesn't apply physiologically
Yeah.
to us, and that's why anytime people are quoting animal studies, I'm just very, very skeptic,
Mm-hmm.
especially if it's somebody trying to sell your product.
Yeah, where they've like gut loaded these rats with like some insane
my
amount of
God,
something,
yeah.
and you're like, okay, well,
Again, I brought this up before. The high lomic acid content of rodent stomachs, they crystallize under certain certain intakes of things, and ours just don't do
Yeah.
that. So it doesn't really apply.
so this is the most interesting thing that they talked about is that late night eating changed multiple appetite related hormones, ghrelin and leptin,
Yep.
particularly.
Which are what?
Those are the ones that make you feel hungry.
Which ones?
Ghrelin.
Correct. And what does
Ghrelin's a
leptin
real
do?
dick. I don't know what's leptin.
It's the opposite.
Oh,
So
he
that's
makes
going
me
to tell
feel
you
not
that
hungry?
you are satiated. You're
I need
not
more
hungry. Yep.
leptin.
We all need
Making
more
a shot
leptin
of
in our
leptin
lives.
straight to
Yeah,
the
wait a
heart.
minute. So could you do that?
Yeah, can I get fake leptin, Mike?
Yeah.
I don't know if they have synthetic leptin or not. I haven't
Shit, I've
seen
been drinking
anything
that shit all day.
Yeah,
I haven't
shouldn't
seen
we get
anything
leptin in my coffee,
about
baby?
that. Usually the studies are on just how to elevate your own leptin and lower ghrelin and things like that. And the lower body fat percentage you are, and the longer you're in a calorie deficit, the lower your leptin levels, higher your ghrelin. And once you are back to eating at maintenance, the leptin levels will come up pretty quickly.
Interesting. So they said that it took the subjective hunger of these people. And granted, this is subjective.
Subjective,
But
correct.
from like 10% to 20%.
Okay.
So like that's kind of significant.
I mean,
At least to
I
me.
find
What's up? You got fake leptin?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear what you just said because I looked up leptin. There is leptin supplements apparently that you can
there's
buy.
supplements for
That sounds-
everything.
that sounds
Don't
fake.
buy them.
But I'm
Did
just
they
saying
give
the
them to
first
rats?
thing that popped up
Yeah.
is leptin.
they
yeah,
have
there's
testosterone supplements too, and those don't work. So
Leptin
Yeah, am I buying this at a
hormone and
gas station?
supplements.
What's it called?
Do they work for obesity?
Yeah, what
and
was
weight
that
loss?
I don't know. There would be a funny leptin gas station
oh my
name
goodness,
for
yeah.
sure. It would be
Lower
good.
your hunger levels with leptin
leptin.
supplement.
Yeah, Victor, I said it says the subjective hunger level of the test subjects went from 10 to 20%.
Now, I do find if I eat late at night, I'm pretty much starving first thing in the morning when I wake up.
Weird.
Yeah,
If you eat late at night,
correct.
See, and I feel like I've heard people say that before, and I don't know if I relate to that because I'm never hungry in the morning, and I always eat late at night.
Yeah. So
it
on my
depends what
biggest
I eat.
on
That's
my
true.
biggest eating days where I'm not eating well and I'm definitely in a calorie surplus, that next morning I'm starving.
It depends what I
Yeah,
eat.
it's probably because you ate a bunch of not fulfilling
Correct.
things.
If
Yeah.
I've had
Yeah.
a day that I've eaten great and I'm like way under calories, like if I'm doing maintenance for today and I have 2,500 calories to work with, and for 1,600 calories I ate all day and I felt great and I just had a really great day and I'm like, I'm doing pretty good. Instead of just letting that rest and doing good that day, I'm like, I've got all these spare calories. Let me eat 1,000 calories worth of junk food, like a big bowl of ice cream,
Yeah.
or do. And if I do that, where I really like get after it, for that eating that night, the next day I feel like I can't eat enough. Like I just can't.
Yeah,
That's
And
interesting.
that it kicks up the hunger drive, and I don't know if that has some play with insulin levels because you take in a bunch of junk food where your sugar is
Oh,
skyrocketed.
interesting.
Your insulin levels are going to skyrocket too. And I don't know how long it takes for that to drop back down to. Well, I guess. Well, shit. A well-rounded meal can take up to like 7 to 10 hours to fully digest. So your insulin levels are going to be somewhat elevated up until probably everything's digested and
So
shuttled
most
off
of
to where it
that
needs to
day,
be.
yeah.
So if you're taking in a bunch of shit right towards the end of the night, your waking levels of shit, what's it called? Cortisol, which is supposed to get you spiked up and running and alert. Insulin levels may have just dropped not long before you've woken up, and it could be driving some hunger signals at
Yeah,
that point.
because it's super either carb heavy. Like what's really been brutal when we're busy is like when we have sitters and stuff with the kids. We order pizza.
Yeah.
So there's pizza just chilling here, and I get home from a gig. I've eaten for the day, there's just pizza. That's another thing that gets me. Then the next day, I'd like down a couple slices of pizza,
Yeah.
and then the next morning, I'm like,
We're all
I'm
hungry.
like hungry. So like if I'm high carb, high sugar, whatever, right before I go to sleep.
That's also high
starving.
fat though with the cheese, and that's going to be more calorically dense. It's going to take longer to
Yes.
break down. You've got a decently well-rounded mix of protein, carbs, and fat there, and sodium too.
But I'm just saying that's what usually the next morning.
Yeah.
But if I ate really good and let it rest, the next day I'm like not even close. Like I'll get through half of my day and be like, oh shit, I didn't eat yet.
I made some pretty good. I'm not going to give you the recipe of it today. I'll give it to you next week probably.
Yeah,
But of a pretty macro friendly pizza recipe that it was really filling. I mean, like I could not eat more than 2 slices of this pizza.
wow.
Yeah. So I will.
Well, I like that.
Yeah, I'll clue you guys in on that next week.
Yeah. But now there are studies too that show that carb intake will increase serotonin levels. So having some carbs, decent carbs, before you go to bed, not right before you go to bed, but in the evening, can actually aid sleep. So I think it really
Oh,
comes down to
interesting.
whether or not you are gorging at that point, whether you're in a calorie surplus, whether you've
Yeah.
had a mix of just kind of quote unquote shittier foods right before you go to bed that could disrupt things. But having, say, some fruit or a decently nutritious snack towards the end that has a decent little carb load can actually help you sleep.
Fascinating.
Oh, I didn't know that. So here's that idea of leptin. According to WebMD, getting back to that where we were talking, just to put a cap
Love
on it.
WebMD. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just stating,
love
according to
WebMD.
WebMD, leptin isn't a vitamin or mineral. You cannot absorb it from a pill. In fact, leptin supplements, quote unquote, leptin supplements,
Right.
don't actually contain leptin.
Oh.
Nope,
If
none
they
of those supplements
did, your
contain those
stomach
things.
would simply digest them before they could have any effect on your body.
But that's an
It's
obvious
rats.
statement, though, because like your testosterone supplements don't have testosterone in them. They're supposed to have ingredients that naturally
Boost it.
make your body elevate those things. So it's going to be the same thing with leptin. You're going to take in a supplement that supposedly helps elevate your leptin levels, which just, the science isn't there for that.
Yeah, that's what they're basically saying.
That'd be really cool, though.
That would be so awesome.
I'm going to just live in Fantasyland about that.
I mean, you could just believe that they work, and sometimes believing something works.
We covered
That's
all
why
the
sugar
semaglutide
pills, yeah.
stuff too. It's the same thing. It's an appetite suppressant. So that's a similar effect to elevating your leptin levels. Now you have an appetite suppressant effect.
I have a buddy who is on Ozempic right now,
Yep.
and she is really not hungry. It's
Yeah.
so interesting.
Yeah, it
I mean,
really- I've
she
heard-
really struggles to even eat at all.
I think I'd read something about
how
the
crazy.
delayed stomach emptying from semaglutide, and it takes a little while for that to even come back once you're off of that. But that's hunger levels rising during that time too. So it's and again we touched on this before as well. But having your routines and things in place prior to going off of that is crucial because you
bet.
learn nothing if you just have less of an appetite.
I went over that with her too.
Yeah.
I was
If
like,
you have
look,
less of an appetite, but you're
this
not
is
increasing
great.
protein,
It's working
getting
for
your
you.
micronutrients.
You're losing weight. I love to hear that. I was like, just make sure that you're learning right now how you should be eating and all of those things, so that when you do get off of this, it's not like a total waste of your time. And I think she's pretty aware of all that, so that's good.
Is she? Has she asked you questions about
She
that?
has,
and what
yeah.
to
That's
dial
why I
down?
kind of
Good.
thought that
All right.
was, she's going in the right direction. But she was like, man, it's just really interesting how much I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not hungry.
So somebody like that needs to be digging more into protein shakes that aren't going to be super, super filling.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to get
So
the
what
protein up there.
happens-
Vitamins and
Ugh.
minerals for sure.
Excuse my yawn. What happens? I don't know. I feel like the human body just amazes me because what happens to that urge? Your hormones or whatever
It
causes
seems
you
weird
that.
for
Where do
me
they
as
go?
someone who's always hungry to even think about being in a situation where I'm not hungry. Like, what is that?
Yeah,
I
and,
could always eat.
and if you have those hormones, are they just not? Does it do they just they're gone?
What happens to your ghrelin and your leptins?
yeah.
I'm sure they're still there. I don't
Yeah.
think semaglutide actually lowers ghrelin levels. I'd have to look into that. But whatever receptors are picking it up, combined with the delayed gastric emptying, is going to outweigh whatever your ghrelin level is
How
at.
crazy.
Yeah, just crazy. All right, sorry.
No,
Keep
you're fine. Okay, so the next thing in this study that they noticed was that late eating also made people just generally want to eat more. It made them
Yeah.
eat a higher volume of food, and they really wanted to eat starchy foods and meats. And they just thought that was the only thing that are changing here is that these people are eating later in the
time.
day.
See, I think, and again, this is just off the cuff. What's driving that at that point is the same thing. If I'm sitting on the couch, chilling, watching TV or whatever, and I've given myself permission to eat, I just sort of want to continue eating.
Yeah, I
and
don't know.
if you've told these people, hey, go ahead and eat ad libitum, just to however much you feel like eating, and let's see what happens here.
But they didn't, right? They did the isocaloric, the same amount of
that's true.
calories.
That's true.
So
I mean, I kind of this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Is I kind of feel this because if I mainly do one main meal and then I have another meal, but it's smaller,
Mm-hmm.
But I do one main really big meal. If that meal is the first meal I start my day off with,
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I need a giant meal later. But if I do
I
a
feel
small
better
meal,
like that,
then I'm
too.
and then
It
even when I
makes
do
me-
a big meal, I still feel like I can't have enough. I'll eat a big meal and be like, that should be enough. Why am I still want
so
something?
wanting
I
more.
still
I don't
want
know,
something.
man.
I
It's
do-
so
I
interesting,
do
and I
two
feel like it makes you want to
similar-sized
kind of
meals.
mess with it a little bit.
Yeah, 100%.
I do 2 similar sized meals with a snack bridge, is what I call that.
Snack
A
bridge.
snack
Yeah.
bridge.
Yep.
Yeah,
so once I
feel
start
like I
eating,
can't do. I would love to do a giant meal, but I don't have as many calories to play with. So it's like I
Yeah, that's
rather,
fair.
I think, would rather do 2 decently sized meals and then a snack bridge.
I love that he
600
calls it a
to
snack bridge
700
when his
calories
snack
a
bridge
pop,
is a
roughly.
pound and a half of
Yeah, it's like a
yogurt
big
and
bridge.
Yeah, that bridge.
Yeah, but
Have you
remember
guys
that-
seen that bridge that
It's
they
a
built?
10-lane bridge, this bad boy that he
Yeah,
has.
remember my snack yogurt, if I do that in the middle of the day, is closer to 500 calories.
snack
I'm
yogurt.
having about 800 to 1,000 calories my first meal, and then evening time is going to be anywhere between 600 to 1,000, depending on what I'm trying to finish. My
See, what I'm
calories
saying
at
is
that.
I flip that where or no, not flip that. I'm sorry. I do that big, like I'll take some of that 500 calorie snack because like I'll do a snack bridge too, but my snack bridge is like a 200 calorie.
It's like more of a bridge. Yeah.
Mine's a very sturdy bridge.
It
Have
is
you
a
seen this
very
bridge that
sturdy
China
bridge.
built? It's like fucking gigantic. It goes
No.
like, it's fucking gigantic. It goes like all the way out in the sea. They're going to point at it in this video here. It's gigantic. It is so huge. That is Michael's.
It
snack
goes all the way
bridge.
out into the sea. Is it a
Dude.
U-shaped bridge? You just come back over that?
No, it's connecting China to somewhere. Hold on.
It better be somewhere. People are just
To the
driving off
United
this
States.
bridge. Yeah,
No,
don't
that'd be
take the
crazy.
bridge.
Don't take the bridge.
It is so, I mean, just like this video like blows my mind how crazy it is. The way that they like managed to like make this bridge happen.
You know, a slight tangent here, but I still am just...
The Hong Kong Zhuhai Macau.
I think you nailed the
I don't
pronunciation
know
of
how you
that.
say
Yeah,
any of that.
absolutely.
Some places I've never been. Bridge, it's huge. It's fucking crazy. You guys gotta look this
I'd
up.
like to know where it goes to. But anytime I'm driving through an underwater tunnel or big-ass bridge, like some of those underwater tunnels going into
Never
to
been in
New
an
York or
underwater
Jersey or
tunnel.
whatever,
Yeah.
those were built in like the 20s or 30s. How the fuck did they have the technology to submerge this shit
Yeah, what
and
were they
build it in
doing?
sections and do whatever? Like how? And then pull all the water out of them?
Oh, that's how you think they do it? They build it underwater? Is that what you think?
No, I think they build it above water and sink sections of it. But they're not building that entire thing.
No, they build a dam and they stop the water from being there and then they build it
my
normal.
God.
And then they let the water back over top of it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, 100%.
Like those really long-ass bridges in the middle of bays and
they'll
shit?
do
How
it
do you...
in sections. So they'll dam off a section, build that section, dam off the next section, build that section, and they just keep going.
You just
down.
blew the testicles of my mind.
My mind
Because that's
testicles.
bridges
Oh my
too.
God.
How they do the posts for bridges.
Yeah.
They'll make a circular dam, and it's just like, and then they build it like it's on land. They build it into the ground and then up, and then they let the water back. They
Oh
pull
my
the dam
God.
down.
Write that down, people.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, so they must have done a lot of that because this bridge has a lot of like
what I went through
footers.
in my head for how they built these,
Yeah,
these tunnels and shit.
There
I don't
was
want to
like-
know how it got in.
bunch of snorkeling scuba divers.
That
Deep,
is not-
diving equipment, underwater welding. I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure there's some of that for repairs.
They built
or some of that
sections,
for
sunk them, and
things.
used ratchets and shit to tie them together. I don't
They
know.
kept floating away. I don't know why this keeps happening.
Oh, that is why I'm not a mechanical engineer or an architect.
Yeah, thank God Mike's not building our bridges. Just
Yeah.
snack bridges.
I'm
You
a
can
body
build our
architect.
snack bridges.
Siri, mind your own business.
Mind your own business. So this particular study, and I didn't dive too much into this because I really didn't care because I don't really think it applies to what we're talking
It was
about. But
a
they also
shallow dive.
They found it altered pathways
Snorkel.
of lipid metabolism.
Cut.
So there's like an adipose tissue gene expression.
Cut.
Huh?
Are you familiar with lipids and adipose tissue?
Fats.
It's all fat.
Fat.
Your adipose tissue is your fat. Lipids are fats in the bloodstream.
So it was saying there's an adipose tissue expression that favored increased lipid storage.
Cut.
And there was a decrease in lipolysis. Lipolysis.
Yeah, lipolysis
the
is the
breakdown
burning
of
of fat.
fats and
Yeah.
lipids.
Yep.
And there's an increase in adipogenesis, which is the accumulation
Right.
of fat
Okay,
tissue.
Michael, I'm going to need you to translate
I've
what
got
she
this.
just said. Okay.
So throughout the day, it's a nonstop process of your body storing fat and releasing fat. So the overall goal or overall statement here is sure that people who ate late at night ended up storing more fat during that time, but it was isocaloric, so the fat loss and fat gain overall is still going to be the same. It doesn't matter whether or not you store more fat in the evening or more fat in the front of the day. If the calories are at a calorie deficit or maintenance, you're not going to be packing on
That's
fat.
what this said? That's what she just said?
That basically just told you that you're going to store more fat at night if you eat late at night, which makes sense because then you're eating food at night. Whereas if you stop eating at 4 p.m., you did most of your fat storage in the front part of the day. You're not really doing it at night. But your body's still releasing and
this
storing
was
fat
over
during that whole
time
time.
that they found.
How long was the study?
I'd have to look it up. I don't remember. But basically, they weren't just like looking at night or looking during the day or whatever, but they were trying to say that it seemed like eating at night seemed to cause people to store more fat and break down less fat. That's generally what
which
they're
again
saying.
makes sense.
But not in like a degree that was like super significant. You know?
It just makes sense. You're going to store more fat while you have a bunch of food in your system.
Yeah.
But you're also going to release that fat as well in the body's own time because it comes down to the overall calories that you've taken in.
Is there something to the idea of you're storing that fat and then going to sleep?
I don't know.
No,
wasn't
because that
said
doesn't
yet.
just stop your fat storing and releasing processes. Your body's still running processes while you're asleep,
No, I'm
which require
sleeping.
energy. You know,
If my body's not doing anything, I'm sleeping. That's how that works.
sleeping.
Oh,
I sleep.
okay. Well, you
So
just
my
hit
body
me
just stops
with a
doing
load of
stuff.
science right there.
I'm sleeping.
Yeah, growth hormone production goes up at night. You have energy. Your body's healing more at night.
No, I'm sleeping.
It's still
Excuse me, I'm just sleeping.
so
I'm
now,
not doing
Victor,
any of
you
those
are your
things.
brain, and your body is your body. It still has processes.
You are your brain.
Sorry.
Okay, so then there was this other study that instead of looking at people eating earlier versus people eating later, everybody ate at the same time, but their calories were shifted one way or another. So there were some people who were eating
Oh,
45.
so this is what we were talking. What? Yeah. Okay.
So they all ate at
Ooh, I want to know this.
7:45 a.m., which is like ungodly early,
Yeah.
1 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. And the whole time I was reading the study, I was like, I kind of wish that they had the meal times are also like later in the day because like who the fuck eats at these meal times? I mean, normal people, but not me.
Old people. Old people.
Who eats? I mean, 95% of Americans, but I mean, who?
But who? But anyway, so there was half of these people in the study were eating 45% of their calories at 7:45 a.m. and 35% at 1 p.m. and 20% at 6:30 a.m. and the other half flipped that. So they ate 20% at 7:45, 35% at 1, and 45% at 6.
That's what I was trying to do.
Yeah,
Right.
And
so
I feel like that was less successful for me. So before you
Yeah,
give
go
you
ahead,
the
go ahead.
results,
Yeah.
so that's what I was trying to do is do the. I mean, their shift. It wasn't 7:45 a.m. It was shift everything 2 hours. But that's what I was trying to do, and I feel like when I do that, I'm hungrier more than if I do the 45
Reverse.
in the chunk.
I'm surprised they
in the
didn't do a group
beginning
that ate
and then
similar
keep going.
calories through all 3 meals.
Yeah, they didn't. I don't think they did. They just had
Interesting.
one or the other.
You would have thought that would be like the
Yeah, that
control
would be a
group.
control group. That would have been smart.
That's the problem with a lot of these studies. There are
yeah.
things that are missing on.
So this
those
one didn't really find anything super significant,
Right.
except that same as the other people, they found they found the weight loss and their resting metabolic whatever were similar.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they did find that the evening loaded subjects felt hungrier, they wanted to eat more, they were thirstier, they had a higher appetite, like they had all those same things. So I was like, man, that's pretty interesting.
That is really
Both of
interesting.
these studies, though they were different, they kind of both had that same thing where it was like, man, people who were eating more at night seem to just be generally hungrier.
This kind of goes into that statement, which we had said is kind of BS, but I guess it's not. How breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Well, apparently, according to that,
I know, and like I hate to say
kind of is.
It's not that it's like the most important meal of the day, but it seems like it has a significant, I don't know, effect on your.
It has significance.
It has some
More
damn significance.
It's
Yeah.
statistically significant in scientific terms, but also not that
but
important.
not really. Yeah, so it's like
But
if you are on a diet
yeah.
and it's working for you, whatever your diet is, your way of eating, if it's working for you and you're achieving your goals, then it doesn't really fucking matter.
No,
But
fair.
if you're someone like me or like you or anyone who's like really struggling with like, why am I so fucking
Yeah.
hungry? Why do I always feel hungry? Why do I always want to eat? Like maybe this is one of those things that you could actually look at.
Absolutely. And I think somebody who's struggling on any course should try a slightly different fucking course.
Yeah.
Like it's so individualized and we're all somewhat different, but I think it does kind of come down to probably 3 categories of people. Those who like to have bigger meals in the evening, those who like similar meals throughout, and those who like bigger meals for their first meal of the day, no matter what time that happens to be. Try them all, see which suits you best.
I feel like also this leads into tremendously why tracking is so important.
One
because
hundo.
Yeah, so
One
frustrating.
hundo P.
actually seeing that data in front of your face is so different. So I just had this conversation with my daughter this morning, talking about feelings, because we went for our trip to Pennsylvania, and she's like, "Yeah, and I missed a whole week of school." I was like, "No, you didn't." She's like, "Yeah, I missed a whole week." I was like, "No, you didn't miss an entire week." And I went through and I was like, "Here, let's go through it. These are the days that you missed. You missed Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. Okay, how many days a week do you go to school?" She's like, well,
And she does Good Friday, right?
And then we went, and she was like, we did the math, and I realized, and I showed her, I was like, you missed 3 days of school. 5 days of school is an entire week, so you did not miss an entire week of school. And she's like, oh. Well, it felt like a whole week of school. And I was like, yes, but your feelings...
Feel isn't real.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to say that. But I'm like, your feelings here, feelings are misleading. And you can absolutely feel like this is what it felt like. Like, it probably did feel like a week because we had the weekend in there, too.
Right.
Yeah.
So it did feel like you missed an entire week. But you only missed 3 days. This is why figuring it out and finding out for sure matters. I was like, so don't let your feelings... your feelings are not always correct.
Yeah.
That's why you have to double check. And I feel like this is the same thing here with the tracking because I've done that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like I'm eating so much. And then I've looked at the numbers and been like, oh.
I know. I've done that a lot lately,
But
too.
it's not so
Particularly
bad.
if I'm like if I'm doing well and I'm like eating a lot of protein. I'm like, man, I ate a fuck lot today. And then if I actually put it in, I'm like, actually, I did all right. You
Yeah.
know? So
It
like,
also
sometimes I
works on
surprise
the
myself, but it
opposite
goes
side.
the
Yeah,
other way.
100%. I'm like, I didn't eat
more
anything.
often than not, it's the other way.
Right.
I didn't
Which
eat
is helping
anything. I'm
me.
so hungry. Oh, 5,000 calories today. I am not going to eat shit.
Yeah, but I've found, because I've started tracking again too, it really does help you dial in. And when you're forcing yourself into the habit of tracking things, the feelings that you're need a snack or throughout the day become less and less important because you're looking at it like, oh shit, no, I have eaten enough. Good protein, good carbs, good fat. I took my vitamins and minerals. My body literally has everything it needs right now. I don't need to go off the rails. I don't need to go grab a snack right now. Go do something productive. There's plenty of shit I could be doing. How about I just don't sit here and
That
stay
is
hungry?
super hard sometimes.
I'm not saying it's not hard. Yeah,
I mean,
it's
but seeing the visual of it does really help clarify you.
It's
where,
stacking.
Am I really hungry? Because I do have enough. This is the conversation I usually have. Not like I'm gonna go do. It's more like, am I really hungry? Because if I am, I'll eat something. But if I'm not, this is like what we said before. Like, if you want to eat chicken right now because you're hungry, go for it.
Right.
But if you're like, no, I want fruit snacks, then you're not really hungry.
Yeah.
You just want something.
Right.
It's so hard for me.
Which is again why I've gotten in the habit
always-
of filling in those gaps with fruit. Because I'll eat fruit all damn day. It's not as big of a calorie dump as you would expect, and it's better than going for that fruit snack or whatever you're
I
talking about.
was trying that. I've eaten so much watermelon in the summer because I love watermelon. But I also have the problem that so I'll eat watermelon. Maybe watermelon's a bad fruit to use because it's so sweet and sugary. Because then I'm still starving afterwards.
Because it's just also not calorie dense and just it's like cotton candy for raccoons. It's
But
just going to
there's-
disappear in your stomach real fucking
But there's
quickly.
also a lot of like I'll eat a big old bowl, which fills me for that moment, and I'm thinking. But I've noticed it's just not as sustainable. But a big old bowl, like a 2 pounds of watermelon, is easy for me to eat. 2 pounds of watermelon, like nothing. But that's like 400 calories.
Damn.
Yeah.
That I
Is
felt like
it?
a pound was 100
I
calories.
can imagine eating 2 pounds of watermelon.
I don't know.
It's so much
But
watermelon.
regardless, watermelon doesn't have really any fiber in it. So that's if you're eating higher fiber fruits, or
Yeah,
even a
that's what I was
variety
saying.
of, or even
The
a
type of
variety
fruit
of
that you
fruits
eat
helps too.
matters.
Or go freeze some grapes. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
chew on that. So whatever takes you
grapes
time
are
to
so good. I
I love
ingest
grapes. Me too.
is going to last longer. And if you have a mix of fruits, that hits different receptors. And if you have higher fiber fruits, that's going to also make you feel more full for longer. And watermelon just doesn't have that
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah. Okay, so these people also talked briefly about skipping breakfast, which I think we could probably get into in a different time, just because I don't really know. I don't really feel like after reading this, like I don't feel like I should tell people to skip breakfast.
I also don't like the statement skipping breakfast because I never skip
Because
breakfast. I just
that's
have
what
it
I'm
at a
saying,
different
the
time.
same thing.
Yeah.
You're not skipping breakfast, right? Like you're just eating later.
Yeah.
So that's what they talked about. Really, they talked about a feeding window being kind of useful, and they don't mean like taking that to
Like
an
a drive-through?
extreme. They mean
Well,
basically.
they
mean like
that's
you
a
should
typical
eat
intermittent fasting
You should
scenario.
eat. There should be like an 8 to 10 hour window in the day
Yeah.
in which that you are consuming your food. And I think that that's kind of realistic, probably, right?
absolutely.
Like it's not super insane, but that could be something else that you look at changing, right? Like if you're eating your meals and they're outside of a 10-hour window, like you ate your first meal very early and you're eating your last meal super late, like maybe that's a problem. Maybe you could rein that in a little.
And that would be awesome for those of you who have that
option,
capability.
yeah.
we've-
When I'm getting up and have to start a day, sometimes like there are days that I have to leave the house by like 9 a.m. So I'm like shoving something in my face then, even though I'm not super hungry, and then I don't get home till after 9 p.m. where I can actually eat something.
Yep.
Like sometimes it just doesn't work
Yeah,
for you.
absolutely. It's
And then,
sometimes
yeah,
it's just
if
not
you
gonna
haven't
work.
been able to eat or get your nutrition in, sure. Then
Yeah,
you
it
go outside
doesn't
the
mean
window.
don't eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're
But
saying if you
windows
have
up.
that
Yeah.
capability, it might help, it might help you feel less hungry or
And you can try the general intermittent fasting one popularized by Martin Burkhan was the 16-hour fast, 8-hour feed window. Women, I tended to start with a 10 or a 12-hour
Yeah.
window because of just hormone levels taking longer to get to the happy place when it comes to that eating window. But if you think about things in balance, we talk about balance all the time. So you shouldn't be eating, I believe, you shouldn't really be eating outside of a 12-hour window consistently. I'm not saying that there aren't going to be the outliers for there. If you just haven't fed yourself enough nutrition, you need to eat, that's the most important thing. But if you're eating somewhat consistently on a regular basis, 12-hour feeding window, 12-hour not, like now you're in balance. And you can seek for either side of that or stay with 12 if you want, but that's balance right there. You're not
I've never
always
even thought
fed
about it that
at
way
that
as
point.
like a window like that. I mean, that's a different way to think about it. Maybe I'll look at it.
I think some people respond
Yeah.
better to hard rules. I know I do sometimes. Like if I've found if my most successful intermittent fasting venture was the leanest I ever was. I did the 16-hour fast.
Yeah, it's weird to think
8-hour
about
feed.
fasting 16 hours, but it's easier to think about just eating in a smaller window.
Correct. Yeah.
I don't know why.
And most of the fast is overnight
Don't
anyways.
say
but
fasting 16 hours.
Yeah.
I'm out then.
It's-
if you
Yeah,
say
it makes
that
it sound
way.
bad.
yeah, but if you're sleeping for 8 hours, you're literally only fasting for 8. Though on
Who
the same
sleeps
note,
for 8
so-
hours?
Oh,
I don't
I
sleep
sleep
for
for
8
8 to
hours.
10 hours a night.
Ugh, I barely slept at all last night, and I just wish I had.
8
So
slept
hours
that.
I've
of
found
sleeping.
I respond better to hard and fast rules. So 8 o'clock would come up, and I'd be like, "Man, I'm kind of feeling snackish, but I've eaten everything I need to eat for the day. So nope, it's outside meeting window."
I suck at that. There's no nope for me. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm not good at that.
Oh, by the way, it's 300 calories for 2 pounds. 300 calories. But that's
really- it's
still
still
a big
2
chunk.
pounds, so that's about right. 150 for a pound.
So basically, I think what we're learning from this is like, with all other variables held equally, there was an itty bitty tiny advantage possibly to eating earlier in the day,
But mostly
or-
mentally.
But
Really,
it's mostly
yeah.
a mental thing. It's slightly hormonal, I guess. But it seems like for some reason it helps people feel less hungry, which I feel like is a big fucking obstacle
It's
that we
a
all
big
face every
obstacle.
day.
So here's the other thing with studies that bothers me because maybe there was 1 or 2 people that were so dramatically it
Yeah, that they, like,
affected
shifted
them
the-
and that it really didn't the other people, but the average.
Yeah.
So because that's the thing is like it may be something that's real dramatic for you that's not as dramatic for most people.
For other people. Yeah, totally. I
like-
just feel like as someone who does really struggle with it, like it could be a very dramatic thing for
yeah.
me.
Some people
Try
are just
it.
really dramatic.
Some people aren't just dramatic.
You wouldn't know
they
anything
said-
about that, Michael.
They said if you are on your diet is good and you're losing weight or you're hitting your goals or whatever, fuck it, eat whenever you want.
Yeah, totally.
Otherwise, what are you eating? Right? Like,
Correct.
what are the
Yep.
things that you're eating? That's one
Yes.
thing to kind of address. You want to eat something that is going to be satisfying, protein heavy, maybe fiber heavy, those things.
Definitely fiber heavy.
And what is your eating window? That's something else they talked about.
Yep.
Before this, they're like, what is your eating window? That's another thing that you look
window.
at. Your eating window.
Yeah. You never
How
heard that?
consistent is your eating schedule? That was another thing,
Right.
Like if you,
that makes
I
a
think it
difference.
seems to make a difference if you eat like your meals generally at the
Because
same
you
time every
hormonally
day.
become hungry to eating at the time that you
Yeah.
start feeding yourself.
But they said, if all of that, you've addressed all those things and you're still having excessive amounts of hunger or something like that, then maybe try shifting your calories to
Yeah.
earlier in the day, which I certainly am going to try to do.
Yeah,
which
I'm
I'm sure
gonna
Aaron will
start
love
with
because
that
he's
as
always
soon as
starving in the morning.
And I'm trying to. I mean, I guess it's not even necessarily the amount of calories. Like, I'm going to start with a much bigger protein pop day of like today. My plan is that turkey breast that I told you I bought. I'm going to cut up probably like 4 ounces of that. Egg whites, me and egg whites.
Yeah.
Egg whites and what else did I grab? There was something else that I was going to throw in that too. But the tortilla things that I bought. And I'm going to make that, and it's going to be probably about 400 calories, which isn't a big chunk of my calories, but because it's going to be a really heavy protein pop and a bigger chunk of calories, that really sets me up for the rest
Oh,
of my
100%.
day.
I'm the same way. And
Yeah.
I'm shooting for a minimum of 40 grams of protein for any given meal, really. But I'll do 40 to 70 grams of protein for my first meal of the day.
Yeah, I think that to me, that's the marker of like the calories matter, obviously.
Yeah.
But the protein that I get in the beginning has to be bigger. Because I did a protein cake the other day, which
Nice.
also as I
made one of those last
I
night,
made a
yeah.
bowl cake, but as breakfast. That's how I started. I made like it wasn't real great. We have this orange cream protein
Ugh, you made that
powder
as a cake?
Hold on.
Gross.
Yes. With chocolate milk.
what are
oh
you
my God.
doing?
Have you ever had orange chocolate?
No.
Well, they used to have those chocolate things.
Oranges.
I remember those.
And
yeah,
they're flavored with
they're
orange.
kind of
It's an
orangey.
orange
So that
chocolate.
sounds really gross. How
It
was
was
it?
okay. It wasn't good, so I wasn't like,
I
oh,
don't know
this
why
is
he was arguing with
delicious.
us. It looks like
Yeah.
we were right about
Yeah.
it.
But they
shit.
do have it. But that's why I made it, because I was like, oh, this might be good, because I know they have those. It wasn't great. That orange cream, to be fair, that protein powder's been around for a while. We've had it hanging around because
Yeah, what do you use it for? It's a weird flavor.
because my thought was if I use the orange with vanilla milk,
I could see that being good. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sounds better than chocolate.
it wasn't so great. It was the orange was so overpowering that it was too much, and it was like fake orangey
Yeah,
flavory. Like it was too much. So I may just chuck it or just force myself to eat.
Just
that
right
kind
out
of
of the
stuff.
bag with a
Yes.
spoon.
Yeah.
Just choke it down.
How bad would that be?
That would
Did
be
you
really
do that?
bad.
Didn't you do that?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite
protein
videos
powder.
of Mike.
No, it doesn't sound like me.
I do have a culinary concoction for us today. Michael?
Crispy's culinary concoctions. Boop, boop, boop.
Nailed it. Thank you.
I had to think for just a
was
second.
like,
We're doing
"What's her
concoctions or
name?"
creations.
Yes. So this is basically what I found about myself is that I find ways to put chicken into everything and make it feel like
Yep.
you're not eating that much chicken.
100.
That's it. That's the trick to life. So I made some. What's cool about this is that you freeze them and then you can just heat them up really, really fast.
Oh, that's always a win.
Yeah. So you know me, I'm lazy, right? So what I did is I got. I had a fuck ton of chicken in my fridge. It's like a stupid amount of chicken. And you could probably use canned chicken for this. You can use any, whatever, a rotisserie chicken. I had a bunch of chicken. So I just shredded up a bunch of chicken. And I used enchilada sauce, which isn't like super calorie heavy and you don't need tons of it. I used plain Greek yogurt. I used probably, to make the whole thing, I made a big ass batch. You can make this at whatever quantity that you want. And I used a shredded Mexican cheese blend
Okay.
and taco seasoning because I seasoned up my boring ass chicken. And I basically just made this big ass bowl of mush. And you could put rice in there. They have Bonza makes protein rice.
Yep.
If you
Yeah, I've
haven't
seen
had it,
it.
it's pretty good. They've got like Mexican rice.
It is pretty good.
So you could
tried
make
it.
that. It's kind of a bitch to cook. Not really, actually. It's just like making pasta, which is weird because it's rice. But you could put that in there. You could put beans in there. You can put vegetables in there. I just happen to have a shit ton of chicken, so mine was just chicken, enchilada sauce, plain Greek yogurt, and cheese.
Nice.
I find though too, like, so you're saying like that's what you did. It was simple. I find I like doing that as quote unquote the meal preppy things because then as you have, they're like, oh, I have this to work with.
Yeah.
Now I can add. If you have too much stuff,
I've been on
in
a
it, you
mission to
can't
get through my
change
freezer.
it.
Remember when we talked about
Yeah,
our
oh, yeah,
freezers
yeah,
were
yeah,
full of
yeah,
shit? So I had like a bunch of. Remember when I was getting those meals delivered?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like the Fit Pros. I don't remember what the fuck they were
Yeah.
called. So I had a bunch
Macrofactor or
of
something.
one of those.
Yeah.
No, Macrofactor is a fucking app, bro.
Oh,
The
that's
Stronger
right.
by Science app.
Damn it. Oh, Factor meals. Yeah.
something like that. So I had a bunch of like shredded chicken and like so I was like thawing. I was trying to get rid of shit.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
and
yeah.
I had Greek yogurt and I had this canned enchilada sauce that's been in my fucking pantry forever. So I was like trying to use the things that I had.
yeah.
So I made a big bowl of chicken cheese enchilada mush, very high protein, and then I had. So I like what is the brand of tortillas? Like the Mission Carb Balance.
The
you know?
Carb
Yeah.
balance ones.
Yeah, those are pretty good. I wish
those
they
are
made them
really good.
bigger.
They have the Olay Extreme. I think those are decent size.
Oh, good. Maybe I'll look
Yeah,
for
they're
those.
50
Anyway,
calories,
if you
11,
can
12
find
grams
the
of
bigger
fiber.
ones,
Yeah,
the
I
bigger
have
would be
those.
better. I
The
had the
Extreme
kind of small.
Yeah.
They weren't super small, but they're not super big. Anyway, so I just stuffed those full of my mush that I made, and you roll them up, and then you just put them in a gallon bag, and you freeze them, and then you can just grab one and microwave it if you want. I like to microwave it and then like pan fry it or air fry it so it's crispy. I like
Nice.
a little crispy.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah.
And they
Where the
are
nickname comes from.
each one is 275 calories and 34 grams of protein.
Beautiful.
And it's nice. It's not complicated. You pre-do it, and then it's like grab and go. It's
I
easy.
do like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of been helping to eat better.
Yo, here's a little twist on that.
Yeah, hit me.
If you put them all in, it depends on how you're doing it. If you're freezing them, that's cool. But if you're making like a meal for like the fam or
Mm-hmm.
for whatever, throw them all in a pan and take some of that, leave some of that sauce, throw that sauce on top of it, and sprinkle a little cheese and throw that in the oven for a
love
little
that.
bit and bake that down. Those enchiladas are going to be fire.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
so
right,
that's
okay.
another exactly.
That
Do whatever you
sounds
want. You even
delicious.
could freeze them, take them out, thaw them, and then do that if you want.
Yeah, there's
You
so
know?
many different ways.
Yeah, that's true.
But what I like about it is like, dude, screw it. You can change your chicken for ground beef, for ground turkey. Like you can do whatever you want inside the very easy to reheat tortilla situation.
Yep.
Yeah, totally. And the tortillas, there's so many good options for tortillas now.
Dude, yeah. And these are what are these tortillas? They are 70 calories.
Yeah, I think they're about 70
Or
with
something
5
like
grams of
that.
protein. I have a
So
pack
the,
of them in
the Olay
kitchen.
Extreme Wellness are 50 calories, 11 fiber, 10
Yeah.
protein. I think like they're macros
Pretty
on those
damn
are
good.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So look for the good tortillas.
Yeah.
You can't find them everywhere.
They're not all built the same. The Extreme Wellness ones that you have that you're talking about, they're more like a wrap.
Those are like a fibery wrap. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like a
those.
wrap, like which is for me works out great. I love them, but when I want them for like a real tortilla thing, they don't
Yeah,
hit the
they
bill.
don't hit the flour
But those
tortilla
carb
spot.
balance do.
Interesting.
Those
Those
carb
carb balance
ones,
flour, they taste like flour tortillas.
Yes, they taste
I
like
have them
flour
with my
tortillas.
breakfast a lot. They really
yes,
satisfy
they're
my
awesome, and they work just like a tortilla. They work. Those have been the best floury tortillas.
floury tortillas. I
Yeah, that
agree.
I've
I know
found.
the ones you're talking about. They're like in a maroon bag, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those are good, but they don't have the tortilla
Yes.
something about them.
They're not as
Interesting.
fluffy.
Okay, I'd
they're a
never
little
considered
thinner.
Yeah,
that.
they're thinner.
Yeah, but I love them.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
absolutely love them. I use them for breakfast.
You can make
burritos
a
all the
big
time.
ass one of those motherfuckers with because those are pretty big.
Yeah.
And I use those. What I've done with those carb balance ones because my kids absolutely love. They're on grilled stuffed burritos right now. So basically, it's the same
Same
thing.
thing,
You
yeah,
did,
yep.
But I would take. I'd take I've said this before. Pork butt.
Mm-hmm.
And throw it in the crock pot, season the crap out of it, throw it in the crock pot, and just let it cook for 12 hours. Let the center core temp hit 200, and then it just falls apart.
Mm.
And I'll take some of that, throw it into one of those carb balance tortillas with cheese, like a soft, the Mexican version of cheese. It's a farmer's cheese, if you get like the American version, but it's queso fresco and I'll put a chunk of queso fresco, like an ounce of that in there, because that's actually not bad calorie protein wise. It's actually pretty good.
Oh, okay.
I'll put that cheese in there with that, roll those up, and then throw them on the grill and grill each side until
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
Yo, my kids cannot eat them enough. And they're pretty
The
good.
shredded, delicious fall
Right around the time of the
pork
day to
with
be
some
really
cheese.
hungry. This
Pork
is working
and
for me.
cheese
That
in
sounds
those carb
good.
balanced tortillas. I think, depending on how much pork you put into it, it's like 200 calories.
Oh, I'll pork the crap out of
2
those.
to 250. I don't put it for the kids. It's about how much. It's like 200 calories, 250 per thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's probably like the tortilla itself is like it's like 25 grams of protein. For my kids, that's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
And so for me, I just up the pulled pork, the Boston butts. They're a little higher in fat
Yeah.
content, so they're a little more calorically
That's
dense.
why they're so good.
That's why it's so delicious. And if you want to add a twist, my kids hate it, but they don't do it. You can do the plain Greek yogurt as sour cream and put sour
love
cream inside of them or on them, either which way. And add some, because I've made those same grilled stuffed burrito things for me, and I'll put sour cream, the plain Greek yogurt on them, and salsa on them.
Nice.
And they're just fire.
Yeah, the plain Greek yogurt really scratches my sour cream itch.
Yo,
And,
you don't
and
even know the
especially
difference.
especially if you're mixing, like that's why I put it in this thing that I made. Because I was like, man, this is gonna be like I'm putting a ton of sour cream in here.
Yeah.
And I'm not. which
We've
is
done
great.
the ranch. We take the plain Greek with the dry
ranch
ranch,
Yeah, yeah.
seasoning.
the ranch
yeah.
seasoning in it, and you make high protein ranch.
Oh, that's a
and
great
it
idea.
Works so good. We've done that a bunch of times. It works
Damn, I need to do
so
that.
good. For
Yeah,
wings
I
too.
also
It's football
too as
season.
well need to do that.
Yeah.
It's football season. It works if you're a ranch person. I'm a blue
I
cheese
am a
person,
Oh,
but
I'm a
blue
ranch
cheese is
guy.
super high. So, but if you're a ranch with wings, boom,
All right.
make that ranch,
Wow.
and you can dip freely, my man.
I love
Yeah,
that.
that's a great idea because
Yeah.
I was eating a pizza the other day and I like to dip my pizza in ranch.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
And I can have a light calorie ranch. It's not bad actually. No hate on it's like the
Yeah.
Bolt House Farms or something like that. That's pretty
and I
good.
dip
It's
my
50
chicken
calories
nugs
for
in
2
ranch,
tablespoons,
too,
but it
I'm
doesn't
the
have protein in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be happy with some protein.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Chrissy,
Yes, sir.
that was an awesome episode.
That was an
Was it
awesome
riveting?
episode.
It was
I was
so
riveted,
good.
like a professional
So
riveter.
just a little housekeeping for you guys. We're going to try to be a little bit more on topics from now on because we tend to tangent a lot. So
We
we're going
still
to have,
tangented it a lot. We're
We do. I mean, that's what we do.
brought the
We're
tangents
gonna-
back fairly quickly.
But we're going to have something that we kind of look a little more into. We're going to try and get a little deeper on some topics for you guys because we want to get a little deeper on topics for us as well, find out some things. And so Chrissy hit us with our first deeper dive.
Deep dive.
Oh, I
Ish.
like that. The
Deepish dive.
Right. Deepish dive.
Deepish dive.
Yeah.
Deepish?
Kind of a
dive.
shallow dive.
Deeply-ish.
Like a snorkel. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like a snorkel. We're snorkeling.
So we love you guys. Again, thanks for listening. We appreciate you guys spending some time with us on a beautiful day, whatever day you're listening. I was going to say what day it is today, but that may not be the day that you're listening. So whatever day you're listening, we appreciate you. Love you. Hit us up on socials. Go find our group, and you can ask for topics for us to discuss. We will be glad to discuss some of them
Unless
for you
it's
guys
a
and
stupid
with you
topic you've come
guys.
up with, and we're not going to discuss that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But there are no stupid topics.
That's fair.
There are just. Never mind.
I think I
was
could
gonna steal
metaphysically hear them hearing this.
that. With your metaphysical ears.
Yeah, maybe.
Is that how that works?
I think so. Metaphysically hearing things. You know, I could be going psychotic. I don't know.
It's probably
Until
you need
next
food.
week, we love
You
you.
need breakfast, Mike.